Hello students, we are looking at the life cycle of Pinus. Why have we chosen Pinus of all the different Gymnosperms? Because Pinus belongs to this class called Coniferophyta, okay, also called conifers, and the conifers are the Gymnosperms that have been the most successful of all the Gymnosperms. And Pinus is an important genus within this class. So we are looking at the life cycle of Pinus. Pinus is monoecious, both the sex organs on the same plant. Cycas is dioecious. There are male plants and female plants in case of cycas. Its habitat is temperate conditions. So this is how the tree will ideally appear. Cone shape with this kind of branching. This is the Pinus tree. This is the sporophyte. As you can see, the dominant phase is the sporophyte. And this shape is said to be an excurrent shape. Excurrent shape is the cone shape. Let us consider one of these branches, side branches. So as you can see, we are looking at one of these side branches here. In this diagram, you can see the shoot and the leaves, which are of three different types. First, we will have a look at the shoot. There are two types of shoot that you can see here. This is the first type of shoot and this is the second type of shoot. The first type is called as the long shoot, which has a continuously growing apex. It will keep on growing. And the second type of shoot is called as the dwarf shoot, which have limited growth. They have a limited growth, and the long shoot can be said to have an unlimited growth. Next, we talk about the types of leaves. In this diagram, you can see three different types of leaves. The first type of leaves will be covering the long and the dwarf shoot entirely like this, like scales. For what reason do you think they are? They are called as the scale leaves. The leaves are of three different types. The first are called as the scale leaves, which will be covering the shoot, and their primary purpose will be prevention of loss of water, a xerophytic adaptation. Second types of leaves are these leaves, these needle-shaped leaves. They are called as the foliage leaf, arising from the dwarf shoots. If you can see that, these foliage leaves are needle-shaped and they are known to be photosynthetic. Someone must do the photosynthesis process, right? And they are not broad lamina, they are needle-shaped. They will also have thick cuticle and sunken stomata, and the needle shape is also for prevention of loss of water. The third types of leaves, which are spore-bearing leaves, are clustered into such kind of structures, which we have also seen in Selaginella. What are they called? They are called as the sporophylls. Sporophylls are spore-bearing leaves which are clustered or aggregated together into such kind of structures which are called as cones or strobili. It is these same cones or strobili that have become flowers in the angiosperms. Spore-bearing leaves clustered into strobili / cones. Now we will talk about the cones, because here is where the reproduction is all going to take place, isn't it? Two types of cones are observed here. This is the first type of cone and this is the second type of cone. This first type of cone is the female cone and the second one is male cones. So if I have to describe the female cone, it is usually present on the upper branches, and the male cones, which usually occur as clusters, occur on the lower branches. Origin of female cone is said to be the long shoot, and the origin of male cones is said to be the dwarf shoot. Pinus is monoecious, so both the male and the female cones will be on the same plant. The cones bearing the sporophylls will produce the spores. Microspores will be produced in the male cones, megaspores will be produced in the female cones, both of which will produce their respective male gametes and the female gametes. Now we will look at these cones in more detail, starting with the male cone. So we are looking at the male cone right now. Male cone is also called as the male strobilus or microsporangiate cone because it has microsporangia. The bag, sporangium, is the bag containing microspores. This is how the cone looks from the outside. Let's cut it longitudinally in this manner. As you can see, there is a central axis here, and these structures that you see here from the outside, okay, these are the sporophylls, the spore-bearing leaves, and since they specifically carry the microspores, that's why these leaves are called as microsporophylls. Phylls means leaves. Let's have a look at one of these leaves in more detail. We are looking at the ventral side of this microsporophyll. On the ventral side, you see, from the side also you are able to see such bag-like structures. From the ventral side, that is the bottom side of this leaf, you see two bag kind of structures here which are oval shaped. These bag-like structures are called as microsporangia. Microsporangium singular. There are two. They are also called as pollen sac. Inside this microsporangia, there will be presence of certain cells which are called as the microspore mother cells. Let's look at one of these microspore mother cell. So each of these microspore mother cell will undergo the process of meiosis and will produce 4 cells which will be called as microspores, also called as the pollen grain. 4 pollen grains will be produced by one microspore mother cell. The pollen grain is going to appear in this manner. Can you describe this pollen grain? This pollen grain is winged because it undergoes the pollination process of anemophily, wind pollination. It has to undergo wind pollination. That's why it needs some wings to glide into the air and reach the female cone. And there is no water for fertilization here. It has to go via wind and reach the female gamete, right? That's why they are winged. This wing origin is exine, and this inner layer is called intine. The pollen grain has 2 layers, intine and exine. Intine remains intact. The exine gets extended out of the pollen grain into this wing kind of structure. They are yellowish in color, and once these pollen grains are matured in this microsporangia, they are liberated out of this male cone, and once they are liberated, it will appear like a yellow colored cloud over the trees, as if it's a yellow colored smoke. Such kind of a phenomenon is known as sulfur shower. Why sulfur shower? Because sulfur is a yellow color powder. Release of pollen grain from cones. This phenomenon is called as sulfur shower. Each of the microsporophyll is going to be similar to one stamen of the angiosperms. Do you agree with that? Consider a stamen. How is a stamen? One stamen is also a modified leaf in the angiosperms. It has a filament and 2 lobes. Do you see 2 lobes in case of the microsporophylls of the gymnosperms as well? Yes. Those 2 lobes will be filled with microspore mother cells in the angiosperms as well, and in this case also the microsporangia are filled with microspore mother cells which undergo the process of meiosis to produce pollen grains. So if one microsporophyll is equal to one stamen, then you can consider that a cone has many stamens onto it. It can be considered as one male flower of an angiosperm. So one male cone is equivalent to one male flower of the angiosperm with many stamens onto it. Next we will look at the female cone.
महादेव के नाम पे सब्सक्राइब कर दें